Hi, I'm Taylor from Newsreel, and I'm the education lead at Newsreel, but I'm also a licensed secondary social studies teacher. And one thing that always struck me was how disconnected my students were from what was happening to them and in the world around them, despite seemingly to really care once I brought current events into the classroom. It wasn't that they didn't care, they just didn't have a news habit. And honestly, why would they? The news isn't designed for them. So instead, they spend hours scrolling through social media, consuming content that wasn't really informing them or helping them understand the world they're growing up in. And that's what we're trying to change with Newsreel. And it's a news app designed to help students develop a consistent, healthy relationship with high quality news. We combine habit forming features with original content written by trained journalists. They're nonpartisan, accessible, and designed for how students actually consume information on their phones. So I'm excited to show you how it really works. And I'm first going to show you the student view of the app, and then I'll show you our educator dashboard, which we use to track all student engagement and interaction with current events. So we know that students are on their phones and getting their news from social media, and we're not necessarily here to fight that reality, but instead we're trying to meet students where they're at and teach them how to use their phones better, to consume news from trustworthy sources, but also to build media literacy skills that stick with them long after they leave your classroom. So this is not just about your classroom and what they do while they're there, but it's about taking this habit with them once they leave. All right, so what you'll see when you open up our app is a stack of stories for the day. And you'll typically see 4 to 5 stories covering politics, culture, science, technology, global news. And you can swipe through your stack to see what those stories are. Each story is structured to be digestible and written by trained journalists. So you can click on the byline for each story to see who our journalists are and who's writing about it. So you swipe through key points. You can see different media embedded and understand the context of what's going on in the world around you. So after reading, you take a quick comprehension quiz, just reinforcing what you learned and helping you retain the information. You'll see if you get the quiz right and you'll get extra points. And then you'll be given a polling question. And so this polling question will be where you can express your opinion on the topic. And this data is always private to you, but over time it builds your polling profile so you can see how your views evolve over time. It's a way for you to engage critically with the news and think about where you stand on issues yourself. And next are our emotional reactions. So you can select how the story made you feel: informed, angry, hopeful, confused, sad, shocked. But you can also see how others responded. So this helps you understand that you're part of a larger conversation about these issues. And so I can see that if this made me feel angry, then 9% of people felt the same way. You'll get points and increase your streak. And you can see that your streak builds over time. If you complete your rings, they'll turn green. In your profile, you'll see that polling profile that I talked about. So over time, you'll see how your views change. You can also look at our timelines and see how we talk about stories over time that have evolved, including more information that you might not get initially from our stories. You can also look at our Explore page, and this is where you can explore the creators that you follow on social media. And so these are our creator bios. You can search for content creators that you might follow already. And these are people that that report on the news, whether they're trained journalists or not. So people are getting information from them. You can sort by left, right, center, undefined, or you can click in, search for your creator, and see their background, see where they're coming from. These are all editorials done by our team. Any controversies that they've been a part of as well. I just showed you what our students see in the app, and what I am going to show you now is what our teachers and educators, professors see on our dashboard to track student engagement. All right, so what I'm taking you to now is our educator dashboard. You'll be able to sign up for an account down here and then sign into your account in the future. But when you log in, you get an overview of class engagement. And so the most valuable feature here that I think is story analytics. And so you can see what percentage of your students read each story. And this tells you what's resonating with your students and what might need a little bit more context. And here's where you can see that for each story for each day. So your story analytics, your quiz analytics, and who's getting things correct. You can also see our story reactions for the day. And so I think this is really, really powerful to see student emotional reactions to the news and what's going on. You can see exactly how your students responded. And if 70% of your class felt confused or hopeful or curious, you might know that that's a piece that you want to address with your class. If a story left most students feeling hopeless or shocked or angry, then maybe that's a moment to facilitate some action-oriented discussion. But these are really valuable insights into how your students are actually feeling about what's going on in the world around them. And so you can kind of click through, see how each of these made students feel and how they might feel differently. And you can drill down into individual student data as well within your cohort. And so you can look at their reading streak, their completed stories, and their quiz accuracy. You'll get aggregate statistics and averages for your class. But if you were to click into one student view, you can look at their individual progress. And so I can see their streak. I can see how many stories they've read in our class average. I can also see their quiz accuracy percentage total. So they've attempted 110 quiz questions. This is my demo account, but they've gotten 76 correct, and so that kind of gives them the average. We also can see that they're attempting 16 quizzes per week and how that changes. Now, if they're struggling or if there's a student that's gotten multiple incorrect in a row, right, we can go through their individual quiz questions and see what their responses were and what we might need to touch on there. In our weekly progress, we've recently added a weekly roundup based on teacher feedback, and we're actively building more robust grading features as well based on what you tell us that you need. And so that's super valuable information for us to have. You can see per week how many quiz attempts and our general emoji reactions for the week. So this week, maybe my cohort is feeling more hopeful. Maybe last week we were feeling really sad about the news, and being able to name those emotions in class as you talk about current events is really powerful. All right, and I just want to share too that for your students at Newsreel, we're teaching them to build a healthy relationship with the news and with their phones and the habits that they form in your classroom. So we're checking reliable sources, we're reading beyond headlines, we're thinking critically about emotional reactions, and those are skills that they'll carry with them. And for you, we're giving you a tool that doesn't add to your workload. You don't need to curate news sources, you don't need to create comprehension checks, you don't need to manually track who's engaging. We handle that so that you can focus on what you do best, which is facilitating those meaningful discussions and teaching critical thinking skills. And for your classroom, we're creating a shared foundation. So when everyone in your class has read the same stories from the same sources, you can have the conversations that matter instead of spending 20 minutes getting everybody on the same page. Students can go through this individualized experience on their own, but then you can see which stories have been read the most and start your conversations there, or figure out which stories are getting the most emotional reactions and start your conversations there as well. One more thing I want to mention is that we're a startup, and so that means that we move fast, but we also build based on what you tell us that you need. And so the dashboard feature I showed you where you can click into individual stories, that's something that we added because teachers asked for it. And the weekly roundup is something that we've added because of feedback that came directly from a professor. And so we see teachers, we see you as partners in this process, and if there's something that would make Newsreel more valuable in your classroom, we definitely want to hear about it, and we can often build it pretty quickly. And so if this resonates with you, we'd love to have you try Newsreel in your classroom. You can sign up for free on our website, and also all these are linked in the video as well. We also have resources and guides available to help you integrate Newsreel directly into your curriculum, whether you're using it as a daily requirement for students to help them really build that habit, or a resource for a particular project. Many resources will help you with the tools for teaching media literacy, but there's few out there that actually help students build the habit of engaging with current events outside of the classroom every day. And so that's what we're really trying to do here at Newsreel, and I'd be thrilled to work with you and help you bring Newsreel into your classroom. So thank you. We hope you try Newsreel, and I'm always here, Taylor at Newsreel, to help you out if you have any questions.